Today, we're diving deep into one of the most intense geopolitical shifts unfolding in Europe, NATO's Baltic Takeover, led by Denmark. What's happening right now in the Baltic Sea could change the balance of power in Northern Europe for decades. Denmark, a country often seen as a quiet and peaceful NATO member, has suddenly stepped into a leading role, taking charge in a way few expected. This isn't just about military exercises or defense cooperation. It's a strategic move reshaping the future of the Baltic region right under Russia's nose. For decades, the Baltic Sea has been a critical maritime zone, linking Northern Europe's economies and serving as a gateway to Russia's naval strength. After the Cold War, NATO's presence here was limited. The alliance mainly focused on deterrence, not dominance. But now everything is changing. Since the start of the Ukraine war, NATO has transformed its posture, moving from symbolic presence to full strategic control, and Denmark has become the frontline actor in this transformation. Denmark's geographic position makes it an ideal leader for NATO's Baltic ambitions. Controlling access to the Baltic Sea through the Danish Straits means that whoever dominates Denmark can essentially control what enters and leaves the Baltic. This choke point has become NATO's leverage against Russia. Danish naval forces have ramped up their patrols, reinforced their maritime surveillance, and coordinated joint missions with Sweden, Finland, and Germany. This level of cooperation shows that NATO's strategy isn't just defensive anymore. It's about asserting control. The shift began quietly. Denmark started modernizing its navy, investing in advanced frigates, submarines, and coastal defense systems. These weren't random upgrades. They were calculated moves to secure NATO's command over the Baltic entry routes. Over the past year, Danish forces have participated in multiple NATO drills that simulate real combat conditions, focusing on anti-submarine warfare, cyber defense, and rapid response scenarios. This preparation is what gives Denmark the edge. It's small in size but strategic in location and capability. Russia has taken notice, and it's not happy. Moscow has long viewed the Baltic region as part of its strategic backyard, especially with its Kaliningrad exclave housing nuclear capable missiles and major naval assets. NATO's recent expansion, bringing Finland and soon Sweden into the alliance, has completely encircled Russia's western flank. This effectively turns the Baltic into a NATO lake, a term that's now becoming a geopolitical reality. Denmark's leadership in this new phase means it's not just a supporting ally anymore. It's setting the tone. The key moment came when Denmark pushed for stronger NATO coordination in the Baltic after the Nord Stream pipeline explosions. Those incidents exposed just how vulnerable Europe's undersea infrastructure is. Denmark immediately moved to strengthen surveillance over critical pipelines, cables, and sea routes. This wasn't just about protecting infrastructure, it was about establishing authority. NATO backed Denmark's lead, integrating its naval command structure more deeply with the region's defense network. From that point, Denmark's role wasn't symbolic. It was operational and strategic. As NATO expanded its northern frontier, Denmark's political leadership also became more vocal. Danish officials have openly declared that the Baltic Sea must remain a NATO-controlled zone, free from Russian interference. This statement wasn't just rhetoric, it was a declaration of strategic intent. The message to Moscow is clear: any move in the Baltic will be met with unified resistance. NATO now has bases, radar systems, and rapid deployment forces stationed across the region, with Denmark coordinating several of these operations. What's remarkable is how Denmark's influence has grown quietly. It hasn't relied on massive armies or dramatic military build-ups. Instead, it has focused on smart strategy, technology, alliances, and timing. Denmark's cooperation with Sweden and Finland has created a seamless northern security network. These nations share intelligence, patrol zones, and coordinate exercises. For the first time, NATO can monitor and control every major route across the Baltic. Russia's once comfortable naval movements are now being tracked in real time. Behind the scenes, NATO's command integration is becoming tighter. Denmark has taken a central role in coordinating maritime defense, acting as the link between the North Atlantic operations and the Baltic Command. This means that Danish officers now have a say in how NATO responds to any Russian provocations in the region. Every submarine movement, every air patrol, every naval drill is now connected through this network. And Denmark sits right at its core. The recent NATO exercise Baltic Guardian was a turning point. It showcased not just military power, but coordination and control. Danish ships worked alongside American destroyers, German submarines, and Finnish aircraft. The message was loud and clear: NATO owns the Baltic now. Russian ships, once dominant, are now cornered within Kaliningrad's limited waters under constant surveillance. This psychological and strategic dominance is exactly what NATO needed, and Denmark made it possible. Denmark's leadership also reflects a broader European shift. After years of relying on the United States for strategic direction, European NATO members are now stepping up. Denmark's proactive stance shows that smaller nations can play a decisive role in reshaping regional security. The Danish government's decision to increase defense spending, enhance cyber capabilities, and expand cooperation with northern allies marks a new era in European defense policy. Meanwhile, Russia is struggling to respond. Its Baltic fleet has faced logistical challenges, resource shortages, and limited access due to sanctions and the war in Ukraine. The once powerful Russian naval presence in the region is being overshadowed by NATO's unified front. Moscow has tried to respond with intimidation tactics, jet flyovers, cyber attacks, and propaganda, but these have done little to shift the momentum. NATO's control is expanding not just militarily, but also psychologically, establishing dominance through constant visibility and readiness. The energy factor also plays a crucial role. With the Nord Stream pipelines out of commission, Europe has turned to new routes and suppliers, many of which pass through or near Denmark's maritime zones. This gives Denmark added strategic influence, linking energy security with military control. By securing these routes, Denmark ensures not only NATO's defense, but also Europe's energy independence. This dual role, military and economic, cements Denmark's leadership in the Baltic strategy. The situation is also reshaping the region's political landscape. Sweden and Finland's entry into NATO has transformed the alliance's geography. With all Baltic states now under NATO's umbrella, Denmark's position at the gateway becomes even more critical. Every movement from the North Sea to the Baltic must pass through Danish controlled waters. It's a geopolitical chokehold, one that NATO now fully controls. And with Denmark's navy and surveillance systems at the forefront, Russia finds itself effectively contained. This containment has significant long-term implications. NATO's control of the Baltic reduces Russia's options for maritime access, limits its ability to project power westward, and weakens its deterrence capability in Northern Europe. At the same time, NATO gains unprecedented freedom of operation, ensuring rapid response to any threat. Denmark's leadership ensures that this system runs smoothly and efficiently. What began as a defensive alliance is now operating like a strategic power block, asserting dominance where it once showed restraint. For Denmark, this leadership role comes with both prestige and risk. The country is now a prime target for Russian cyber operations and disinformation campaigns. Russian state media frequently accuses Denmark of acting as a Western puppet or escalating tensions. But in reality, Denmark is driving its own agenda, one aligned with NATO but rooted in its national interest. By taking charge in the Baltic, Denmark secures its future and reinforces its status as a key European power. The Danish military's modernization program continues to expand. The government has announced investments in next-generation radar systems, underwater drones, and advanced missile defense. These tools will give NATO even greater control over the Baltic's critical corridors. Every movement, from submarines to communication cables, will be monitored. This level of surveillance and control marks the true takeover of the Baltic, one driven by technology, intelligence, and cooperation, not brute force. Europe's security dynamics are changing faster than ever. As the war in Ukraine drags on, NATO's northern flank becomes more vital. Denmark's leadership ensures that the alliance maintains unity and readiness. In a world where hybrid warfare, cyber attacks, misinformation, and energy pressure defines modern conflict, Denmark's strategy shows the importance of adaptability. The country's ability to coordinate across military, political, and economic fronts makes it indispensable. Looking ahead, NATO's next phase in the Baltic will focus on permanent readiness. That means more integrated naval bases, shared logistics, and possibly permanent stationing of Allied troops in Denmark and its neighbors. Denmark's influence will continue to grow as it oversees this transition. Its role isn't temporary, it's foundational to NATO's northern strategy. The Baltic Sea, once contested, is now becoming a secured NATO frontier. The impact of this transformation extends beyond Europe. The United States, the UK, and Canada see Denmark as a reliable partner in ensuring transatlantic security. By leading NATO's Baltic Command, Denmark strengthens its global standing, becoming a voice that shapes decisions at the highest levels. For a nation of fewer than 6 million people, that's an extraordinary achievement, yet the risks remain. Russia will not quietly accept this new order. It's already testing NATO's response times, conducting covert operations, and probing for weaknesses. Denmark and its allies know that maintaining control means constant vigilance. Every radar ping, every satellite feed, every naval movement matters. The new Baltic reality is one of perpetual tension, but also stability through strength. In the end, NATO's Baltic takeover isn't a sudden conquest. It's the result of years of strategy, coordination, and decisive leadership. Denmark's quiet determination has reshaped the northern balance of power. The country has turned from a small NATO member into the guardian of one of the most vital maritime zones on Earth. This is not just a military story, it's a geopolitical transformation, one that will define the next chapter of European security. So, as we watch these developments unfold, one thing is clear: the Baltic Sea has a new master, and at the heart of this shift stands Denmark, leading NATO's charge with precision, resolve, and strategic brilliance. The future of the Baltic is no longer uncertain. It's being written right now, and Denmark holds the pen.